Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade.
And I'm Joe.
And we're here to do a Mike Leigh movie. It's been a while since we did a Mike Leigh movie. And here we are. We're doing Life is Sweet. I keep on saying Life So Sweet.
Yeah.
It's not. It's Life Sweet. Life is Sweet.
Life is Sweet. Yeah.
From 1990. It is, I believe it's his third major film.
Yeah, his second or third. It's like the big breakout movie.
Yeah, it's the big breakout movie. And it stars Alison Steadman, who's actually, at this time, Mike Leigh's wife. Jim
Broadbent.
Yeah. Claire Skinner, Jane Horrocks, David Thewlis, and the legendary Timothy Spall.
Yep.
The legendary, especially with this character he does, Aubrey.
It's a very he does some interesting choices.
Yeah. So this is kind of like it's this Mike Leigh movie, so it's a slice of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's what he's known for, what he's the best at, I think. We've done Naked, we've done Secret and Lies, we've done Meantime. According to him on this commentary track, because I also watched about 80% of the commentary track. Mm-hmm. I was running out of time, so I kind of skimmed through it a little bit. Just to get any tidbits, we both watched this on the Criterion channel, including the director commentary. He says this is his least favorite film.
Which is funny.
Because
it's my favorite.
It's your favorite. Okay,
It's my favorite.
I'm still partial to Naked.
I'm not as big a fan of Naked as I am. Like, I just really liked this because it's, I think, an interesting ensemble.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The one I haven't watched Naked in a while, but the one downside of Naked is the sexual assault part. That's the part I can live without. But this one almost has sexual assault in it.
It's got an uncomfortable sexual scene.
Oh, no, I meant like the Aubrey thing.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, that later follows...
Two uncomfortable sexual
which
scenes.
later follows into probably one of the best room trashing scenes in cinema since Citizen Kane. And
I like how lightly he, knocks over the table.
Yeah, and it was... So basically it's a nice sandwich. There's Citizen Kane room trashing. There's the Life is Sweet room trashing. And then a couple years later, The Room.
Yeah.
So it all works out, I guess. Basically, it's about this little family. Mm-hmm. It's Andy and Wendy, and their two kids, Nicola and Natalie, or Nat.
Yep.
It's about them. Mm-hmm. It's pretty evenly used on them, I think.
Yeah.
Nat's kind of in the background a little bit, but I think she's supposed to be.
Well, kinda. And for me, that's what I like about this film. It focuses on the family. And I think everybody kind of gets an even coverage in the film.
Even Aubrey, who's not part of the family.
Yeah, even Aubrey.
But that ties in with the
some
mother.
may even say Patsy. But it's like you see kind of how a family in the suburbs of London, how they got by, and just, they're a family that has, that love for each other, but also that very familiar dysfunction that everybody experiences in their life. It's just a unique dynamic that I think Mike Leigh's able to capture.
Yeah, I think one of the most authentic things is the mother, Wendy.
Yep.
How she's so lewd.
Yeah, she's very...
very innuendo heavy, which you don't see a lot in people. It's usually forced. Feels forced, but she feels natural. This is what the mom makes the uncomfortable innuendo in front of the daughter.
She likes to make the dirty jokes, and it just kind of it. And there's even a scene where you see it irk Andy.
Yeah,
and you're just that's real.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's a real character trait, and this is how people would actually react to it.
And and then Andy he's very ambitious and earnest. He'll take the chances to succeed or make his family in a better place, whether it's a Patsy puts him in the wrong direction.
Well, and that's arguable because we don't see the results.
It's true.
The food truck could take off.
Yeah, he might not break his ankle.
You ever see Chef? It could take off.
He might, yeah.
So, he's more of like to me, he was somebody that was kind of beaten down and forced into a position earlier in life, but now with his daughters being older, and I think he's feeling like a little restless and wanting, like, he finally gets that chance.
So you take the chance.
And
there's no pressure.
He's like, I could finally do something I want to do, and doing the food truck would be something he gets really excited about.
Yeah.
You know, because he chose the stability of a restaurant job, which really isn't that stable. But, you know, he worked hard, he worked his way up, and he's, you know, and it comes back to bite him. But ultimately, I think that's an opportunity that he has, and that's why like Nat has that initial reaction to the food truck, and she's like, "Look at the state of it."
Yeah,
and then but she sees, you know, he's got a spring in his step. He's got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
He's got something he's excited about, and she goes, "Well, I mean, it makes him happy."
And Nicola's like, capitalist pig, or whatever.
Yeah.
Bollocks.
Good old Nicola.
Yeah, Mike Lee actually in the commentary said that this movie is about food. And if you look at it through that, there's a lot of food in this.
It all revolves around food?
Sadly, it revolves into one of the most awkward sex scenes I've ever seen in my life. Also, we forgot to mention, David Thewlis is in 2 scenes in this. He plays the crappy boyfriend because, of course, he does. But he's not a crappy boyfriend. He's more of he kind of pushes Nicola a little bit, especially near the end.
I think, and
she needs it.
I don't think he's a crappy boyfriend. I think he
comes off as it in the beginning.
Yeah, he seems like it, and it's like, oh, he's just kind of using her, and she's in a way using him. But he gets to the point where he's just really frustrated by it, and he's just like, you know, you say these things and you act this way, but there's really nothing behind it. And he's like, that second scene kind of says it all.
Yeah.
You know, where he's just like, you really don't have anything. You know, you say you say words like capitalist or misogynist or sexist, but and it's another scene where, you know, Wendy has that with her as well. She's like, why aren't you out there going marching? Why aren't you out there, like, you don't vote? You know, you just sit here, you watch the news, and you yell at us all day long.
That scene is my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's
incredible.
Wendy and Nicola and even in the commentary he says that this is it's still a scene that makes him tear up.
It's an incredible scene.
Yeah, and then they come back with another one because they had to take a short break to get Andy out of the car. But like they come back to it, and she's like, you know, when the scene says, if you hate me so much, why don't you kick me out? And she's like, we freaking love you, stupid girl. And then there's a scene that right afterwards, Wendy's just kind of staring out the window before she gets the call about Andy. It's just like that kind of that stay on her. It's such a great effing scene.
Yeah.
There's also, I mean, the stuff with Aubrey is great, just like in general. And back to the commentary, he brought up something. Mike Lee brought up something about him that I just did not get. He has a synthetic personality. Mm-hmm. It's all in his looks. You see, he has the Giants jacket. He has the hats. Yeah. There is one great scene as the intro to him is when he comes to the house. He's got the shades on. Yeah. And the pineapple, and he takes off the ridiculous shades to put ridiculous red glasses on, holding the pineapple. Yeah. Great stuff. He's in it a little bit too much, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly with the Paula, or as we learned her name's like Paulina or something like that. He's saying the name wrong. It's just there's stuff like that, and it's kind of like, eh. But, you know, it's classic Mike Lee. The score is great. The score is by Rachel Portman. Has like a French taste to it, like a French like kind of like sound to it. Probably matches like French like kind of like film tones. A little bit. You know, the writing's top notch. Mike Lee, of course it is. All the characters, there's not one character in this film that does not feel authentic or real, have a personality. There's no one feels the same.
Yeah, and it's this weird, like I said, like it's this dysfunctionality, but everybody fits together.
And also, it's like kind of like some of these are kind of like hyper stylized, well, not hyper stylized, but more like dialed up more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the dynamic between the two sisters is very different.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at antagonizing each other.
Yeah,
And they're good that they balance each other out, and the fact that they are not actual sisters,
I
blew my mind.
yeah.
I thought they were actual sisters, and I looked it up, they're not.
They look very related.
Yeah, and they all had their different quirks,
Mm-hmm.
but, you know, I think Nicola was a little extreme, but he made it, like the whole, the bulimia stuff and the chocolate thing, they made it so believable, though, that, I'm not saying that bulimia is not relatable or real, I'm saying, like, how they portrayed it.
Yeah.
Like, she's just scarfing everything up, and it's very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels down to earth at the same time.
To me, the extreme part of her personality is, you know, where she was always yelling capitalist and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's her lashing out, and it's just taking out her own self-frustrations on her family with, you know, these buzzwords that she hears. When you get further into the film, you find that it's all just a facade. It's the hedgehog thing, you know. It's like her self-defense. It's her being prickly because she doesn't want to get hurt by these people. But at the same time, she's hurting because nobody wants to get close to her.
Yeah.
And, you know, having that scene with David Thewlis's character, which I forgot if he had a name. And then...
I like to think that he's later going to grow up to become Johnny from Naked.
But then having the scene with Wendy and having that connection with Nat at the end, it's all like finally being able to let people in.
It's like a movie that there's not really a plot to it, but
Yeah.
it has a character plot to it.
Yeah, it's all character growth.
Yeah. And the only character that really grows is the most unlikely character.
Well, I'd say all the characters grow. Because I feel Wendy uses humor to deflect. I think Andy finally gets the gumption to start up the food truck.
Also, that great line where he's talking about the life of a spoon.
Yeah.
Such that's so random, but it kind of made it like kind of like a very great sentiment.
I mean, he's a chef. That's kind of how he thinks.
Yeah.
And then Nat, probably the one that changes the least, but is the most...
She's the constant of the group.
She's the most acquiescent of all the characters.
Yeah.
She's the one that adapts to everybody. She's the one that kind of glues everybody together. But again, she finally gets the nerve to talk to Nicola and be like...
You know, I hear you,
know,
right?
Yo, like... I hear that, and it's, like, not cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, but we're going to be sisters. I'm not going to rat you out, but, like, you need to talk to them.
Yeah.
And then she's also going to explore America.
She's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
With her dad, with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Joe, I guess is the big question. Would you recommend this film?
I would. It's my favorite of the Mike Leigh movies. Not really any of them are bad.
No, there's not.
But I just think, you know, it's an entertaining watch and being able to live with these characters over the course of a few days has been really interesting and a fun story to see unravel.
Yeah, I'd also recommend it. This is one of the highlights of doing this show. Is I never knew any Mike Leigh movies. Mm-hmm. Now I've seen a couple, and I'm like, this is becoming one of my favorite directors. Whenever we decide we're going to do a Mike Leigh movie, I'm like, oh yes, I'm excited to do it. Not saying I'm not excited to do other directors, but like it's one of those things like when you hear Mike Leigh, like, oh, I'm in. 100% recommend. I think it's for everyone. I think anyone can watch this and get something out of it. With any of the characters, really. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just the goofiness of Aubrey's character. Even if it's just that, mm-hmm. you can get something. So yeah, that's our thoughts on Life is Sweet. Let us know in the comment section below what's your favorite Mike Leigh film, what you think about this film. I think the next one that they have on Criterion is Topsy Turvy. I think that's the next one, which is like a Victorian era musical.
I guess.
Which is like, that's different from Mike Leigh, so I can't wait to see that. You can follow us on Instagram, Condish Productions. You can, follow us on Letterboxd, Condish. It's a Criterion Connection list. You go through the list, there's like 100, we're almost at episode 200. There's a couple on that list. See how many you've seen. And watch them all so you can have them all grayed out so you can say, I saw all these Criterion Connection movies. So until next time, also like, subscribe, and share. There we go. That's the most important one right there. So until next time, I'm Wade.
And I'm still Joe.
And we'll see you later.